Hi everyone, it's Tony Campana from Tony Marie's Creations. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today I want to show you a couple of interesting techniques that you can use with products that you probably find or supplies that you probably find around the house. If you're a crafter, you probably already know that you usually hold on to just about everything because it could be used for crafting. And that's one of the reasons why my craft room is so overwhelmingly packed with items, because every time I come across something, I think, oh, that would be great for a craft project. So interestingly enough, I actually do get to use some of the things that I save to make projects. So that's what's going to happen today. This is also our monthly North Carolina blog hop. Several demonstrators volunteer to participate in the blog hop, and we have fun every month. There's always a different topic that we make our projects to fit in with a theme, and this month is I think it's called Trash to Treasure. So it's basically, things that you might normally think about throwing away, we crafters hold on to because we know we can do something with them. So the set that I'm going to use today is the Whale Done. And honestly, this was I think featured last year in our annual catalog, and it carried over, which I'm really glad it did. But this is honestly the first time I have used this stamp set, and I don't know why, because I love all the images, and I love the different sentiments and the different fonts that they use for them. So this is what we're going to be using today. And I want to start by saying that what I am going to show you is how to create some really interesting backgrounds using products that you find around your house. So having said that, I'm going to go ahead and start with a piece of basic white cardstock. This measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and this is going to be my my focal point, and then I'm going to layer that on some different colored cardstocks. Well, first of all, let me show you a finished card. This is the card that I created, and I'm going to do basically the same type of card, but I'm going to use my main background. I'm going to use the basic white and see how that comes out. But I used soft sea foam for the card or the base here. I'm going to be using the same colors, except this time I'm going to use our basic white. So how did I get that background? Well, I have a lot of stuff that comes to me in the mail. My husband will certainly agree with that. And a lot of times it is sent with bubble wrap. And I save all the bubble wrap. I save bubble wrap, I save packing paper, I save all sorts of things. So what I'm going to do today is show you how you can take that bubble wrap and make some really interesting backgrounds. So I've cut just a small piece here. You could probably cut it a little bit bigger, but this is kind of what I started with. So all I'm going to do, first of all, let me get my colors out here that I'm going to be working with. I have Misty Moonlight, Bermuda Bay, and what else did I use in there? Misty Moonlight, Bermuda Bay. Maybe some Chrome Cake. We'll throw that in there. It's going to be different. We'll see what we come up with. So the first color I'm going to open up is our Misty Moonlight. And I'm just taking the bubble wrap, and I want not the flat side, I want the raised bubble side. And I'm just going to scrunch this up so I have a piece to hold at the top. And this is really all you need to do. And I'm going to tap that in my ink. And then I'm going to just start applying it to my cardstock. And I'm just kind of stamping a couple light and dark. Okay, and then I'll be done with the Misty Moonlight. Now I'm going to bring in some crumb cake, and I'm just going to rub my bubble wrap a little bit on my scrap papers to remove any color. And I'll go in here and I'll do the same thing. And isn't it cool, the color or the effect that you get? It's always going to be different depending on how you've wrapped up your little piece of bubble wrap. I'm just moving that out of the way. I'm trying not to let go of my bubble wrap while I'm doing this, but that's not working. So let me just close my ink pad so that I don't put my hands in them, because that happens too. And again, I'm just going to roll that up a bit and just dip it in here and just come in with filling in some more color. And this is basically all that you do until you're happy with the result. I basically want to fill in some of those empty spots. So that's going to be my starting point for my finished card. So I'm going to set that aside, throw away my bubble wrap because I certainly have plenty of it. But I want to show you how you can get different effects based on what you're using. Now, I will show you. Let me just pull this piece out. So the bubble wrap that I just used is really small. It's got small bubbles in it. I'm going to go now to one that's got a little bit bigger bubbles just to show you what the difference or how that's going to look. So again, I'll just wrap this up. This is a little bit bigger piece, so this will go a little bit quicker. And again, I'm just going to go in here and add these colors. I'll put one there. Rub that off. Go with my crumb cake, my next color, and go in. And you can see it's definitely similar but different because of the size of the bubbles that's in the paper. And then I'll come and do my Misty Moonlight. And this would be a fun little project that you could even include younger stampers in, because it's just such a fun way to make different backgrounds. And I'm sure that they would enjoy, because there's really no right or wrong way of doing this. You just keep stamping until you get the effect that you want. So that's with the bigger bubble wrap. And then I'm going to show you one more. I just popped a bubble. One more thing. I'll take another piece of white. And this was just a bag. I was getting ready to throw it away. Something came in it. I don't know what. But I thought, well, let me just play around with this. What the heck? It can't hurt. So I, again, just kind of crumpled it all up. Gave myself something to hold on to. And then dipped it in my ink. And then just started placing color around. And that's quite different than the bubble wrap, but still a pretty neat effect. And again, I'm just kind of, we'll wipe this off since it's picked up a little bit more color. I want to transfer that. I'll come in with some of the crumb cake. These kind of look like jellyfish, to be perfectly honest. I'll rub that color off. And then I'll pick up my last color, which is, which one is this? Bermuda Bay. And I'll just go in and place some of that over top of it. But it's just such a really cool and unique effect. You're never going to get the same look twice. Kind of creating your own designer series paper, which is fun. Very fun to do. So now that I have created these backgrounds, I'm going to put together my card. And I'm going to go back to the first one that I created. So let me set these other. Oh, well, let me go back and show you what I did when I was using the soft sea foam as the background. So this was with the bigger bubbles. And then this one was with the scrunched up plastic bag. Yeah. So I've got some really cool and unique backgrounds to use for some up and coming cards. But let me go back to this. And now we're going to go ahead and build our little under the sea creation. So I'm going with Old Olive, and I'm going to start putting some seagrass down, and I'm just stamping right on top. And I need to get this good and inked, and I'm just kind of going to go up and down in the height, because we know seagrass can be a lot of different heights. It's something that when I'm in the ocean, I do not like walking or having it touch me. Oh, it just gives me shivers, because I always think it's some sea monster that might be trying to attack me. Of course, how irrational is that? But that's how I feel. I don't like being in water where I can't see what might be underneath me. So I love going to the ocean, but I'm always a little nervous when I'm there. So that's our seagrass. And what else do I want to add? I'll come in and do, oh, I actually pulled in kind of a different color. Let me find my stamp for it. Oh, there it is. For my coral, kind of threw in some purple. Just thought this is gorgeous grape, and I just thought it would just kind of break up all the blue and the green and that sort of thing. So I'm just going to add some of that here. Maybe stamp off and make some lighter versions of it. Finish it off there on the corner. I've got some teeny tiny fish. Where are my teeny tiny fish? I'm gonna put those Night of Navy. Really want to kind of pick up. I'm gonna stamp them just randomly around as if they're swimming through the seagrass. Move my paper up a little bit more so you can see. Hopefully I haven't been cutting off most of this. And this is a really visually busy card. And I don't normally make cards like that. So this is really kind of a stretch for me. I'm doing something a little bit different. And what I want to do next is I want to show you one other item that we all have around our homes. As soon as I can find my piece of paper to show you how to do that. Let me move my background out of the way. I'm going to take a plain piece of cardstock, and I want to stamp our turtle. And let's see, I think I'm going to do him in Old Olive. Move these out of the way. Okay. So I'm going to ink him up. And then I'm going to add a little bit of Wink of Stella. If you have watched me at all, you know this is my absolute favorite embellishment. I hope Stampin' Up! Never discontinues this from their line, because I don't know what I'd do. It just adds just the right amount of pop sometimes when you're wanting to add a little bling without going overboard with your cards. Okay, so I've got my turtle. Now, I want him to stand out on my card, and this is going to help a little bit, but I really wanted to add a little bit more. I think I missed a spot here. I want to kind of give him a glossy sheen, and I could do that. Another way I could do that is that I could stamp Versamark ink all the way around this turtle and then sprinkle clear embossing powder over it and heat emboss, and I would get that little crystal look that I'm looking for. But I can also bring in packing tape, and I'm just going to take a small piece of packing tape and I'm going to lay that over my image. And this is called cheat embossing, cheat clear embossing. So now I've got, it's still shimmery with the Wink of Stella, but there's a clear finish over top of it. And now all I have to do is cut my image out and I've got a glossy turtle. And since you don't need to see me sitting here cutting, I actually did two of them. I did one in Mossy Meadow and I did one in Old Olive. And I see I need to just trim a little bit of this up here, as I missed a bit of white. And you want to use a pair of small scissors when you're trimming like that so that you can get in there and get all those excess pieces off. It's a little bit easier when you work with a small. And I think I'm going to go with the Mossy Meadow because he stands out a little bit more since this background is pretty busy. So, oh, and I forgot, I actually was going to add some bubbles, but because this is already so busy, I'm not sure you're going to really see it. If I go back and do something like this again, I will probably go lighter. I wouldn't do the first inking of these images. I would ink off and then do the lighter so that it's not quite so bold. It shows up much better in this card because you can see I put in some of the little bubbles, but you're not going to be able to really see that so much in there. So I'm going to go ahead and start layering. I actually want to put some twine around my card before I attach it. And let's see, let's start and just wrap this a couple of times. I'm also not going to do quite as fancy a bow as I did on my first card. And I think I'll do it down here on the other side of the card. So I have a love-hate relationship with this thin threads, because I find them a little difficult to tie sometimes. Okay. Turn those pieces off. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and attach these. Actually, I think I'm going to use dimensionals on this piece, even though I just ran that tape over it. That's fine. I'll just put my dimensionals over. I want to pop this up. Whenever I am using ribbon or thread or the baker's twine, I tend to like to pop up that layer so that there's no bulk underneath. There's no bumps or anything. That's just a personal preference. If your ribbon lays really flat, it's probably not necessary, but it's just something that I like to do, just to give the card a little bit more of a clean finish. backings are always a little fussy sometimes. Funny thing is, it's a running joke in our house is where might the dimensional backings show up next? They've certainly been in every room of our house for sure. They get stuck to my clothes and then I drag them somewhere in the house. My husband's always laughing about that. So then I'm going to go ahead and apply this to, oops, my card base. Another thing I like to do, and this is what I instruct when I'm doing my classes as well, when you're attaching things to your card base, you know, most people I see struggle, like they'll have the, you know, the cards flipping up and, you know, they're trying to do that. I always instruct them, open your card so that it's flat. Let it work with you instead of against you. So I will add this, and I've just pulled these colors in because it works with the color of ink that I was using. Okay. And now I'm going to, so what I used for the sentiment is I pulled in our tailored tag punch, which is one of my favorite punches. And I stamped my love for the ocean, for you is bigger than the ocean. And then I cut another color of the tag and I cut it in half and I used it as the borders. So this is what I mean by that. I cut it out, I stamped it and then cut the tag, and then I cut the colored cardstock. I cut the tag in half, and then you can apply it to the top and the bottom to give you a little bit of a border. And because I wanted to also just continue to pull in some of the colors, I just attached a scrap of Misty Moonlight that I had lying around on my table. I try to really use up my scraps as much as possible. It's not always easy because if you stamp a lot, you've got a lot of scraps laying around. But I just try to incorporate them whenever I can. So I'm going to layer that over the top. And then that's going to go up here in the upper right-hand corner. And I think I'm going to put dimensionals on this as well. I didn't on the first card, but I think I want to have this stand up a little bit. And add that there. And then I can figure out where I want my turtle to go. And he will also go on with a dimensional. Get that backing out of there. And I'll have him kind of floating up there towards the sentiment. So that is the finished card. Again, it's pretty busy. And one of the other things I like to do is, I like to, again, I love Wink Stella. So I will usually look at my card and think, okay, where does it need a little bit of a pop or some punch? And then I'll go in and put some Wink Stella. So I think the coral can really stand to be highlighted on this card. So I'm just really roughly painting some Wink of Stella over top of it. And that is the finished card. Now, of course, I will add an inside a little later. But, so they are the two. I'm still going to come back and do something with that because I don't like that. It looks a little too plain. So I may add a few more little strands of the linen thread to it. But just fun with nothing more than some bubble wrap and some packing tape, different things that you have lying around the house that you can incorporate into your crafting. So I hope you enjoyed the different ways of using from trash to treasure, and I thank you for stopping in and catching my video today. Take care.